Hey everyone, welcome to this video about modular patching. Today I'm going to be doing a patch with the new Mutable Instruments blinds, quad bipolar VCA, but you could do this patch with any linear VCA. It doesn't have to be bipolar. What we're going to be doing today is making a voltage controlled notch filter using the high pass and low pass outputs of a filter that has a manual notch control. And the filter we're going to be using with this VCA here is the Manhattan Analog Discrete State Variable VCF. Great filter, nice vintage tone. So I'm going to just get right into this patch. And what we're going to be doing here is to patch up our crossfader, which is the main bit of work we need to do. I'm going to patch the low pass out of the filter into the first channel input and the high pass into the second channel input. Now that we've got those, I'm going to take a sawtooth out of the Spectrum VCO and put it into the filter. And the last thing we're going to do is just listen out of channel 2. And I can take the audio out of channel 2 here because the outputs are normaled downwards and they mix together. So that's a nice feature. And if I turn up the low pass here, you can hear that. And now the high pass. Now, the key to making this crossfader patch work successfully is to make sure that the CV we have controlling both VCA channels is going to make it so that the sound doesn't bleed on either side. So ideally, we want the low pass to be at full volume when we have a negative 5 volt input and the high pass to be silent. And when we have a positive 5 volt input, we want the high pass to be at full amplitude and the low pass to be silent. So I'm just going to make sure that both of those things are true, and as soon as those two conditions are satisfied, we automatically have a crossfader. So I'm just going to put in a mult cable into the CV input for both of the channels. That way we can get the same control voltage into both. And what I'm going to do is just put a static control voltage offset into here just for testing purposes. I'm using the third channel of blinds, but you could use any offset voltage generator like the Shades, Triad. I'm probably blanking on a bunch of them, but any voltage offset will do. So first I'm going to just turn the low pass to around halfway, and I'm going to turn the CV attenuverter counterclockwise around halfway and just play around with the settings. So if I turn the control voltage to 5 volts, we want to hear that go silent. We can do a little better than that. Takes a little adjusting, but now we have that in order. And at negative 5, we should hear it at full volume. And we do. Now I'm going to unplug the low pass just so I can do the same with the high pass without having to hear the low pass the whole time. I'm going to set the high pass amplitude to around 50% clockwise. And turn the CV attenuator around 50% positive. And now do the same thing. Should be full amplitude at plus 5 volts and 0 at minus 5 volts. And just adjust that. And now you can hear that if I plug the low pass back in, we have a very smooth crossfade. And we don't really get any amplitude drop in the center. It's a very nice equal power crossfade. And of course, you can add an offset to this static control voltage from this knob. In the center, without any offset, this will be your typical half and half notch filter. That's me just sweeping the cutoff off screen. Turn up the resonance a little bit. But of course you can get other notch balances, a little bit biased towards the high pass or low pass. So you can get a really nice range of timbres here. And of course sometimes you're going to want to CV control this. So I'm going to take an LFO from another Spectrum oscillator and just plug it into the CV input. This is going to serve as an offset to the static bias voltage, and so what you're going to end up with is whatever voltage is present at the bias knob plus whatever voltage we have dialed in here. So I've just got a sine wave running pretty slowly, and if I turn up this attenuator, you can hear that that sine wave is controlling the crossfading from low pass all the way to high pass. And you can dial in that effect as much as you want. You can offset it so that it fades more on the low pass side, more on the high pass side. You can really do whatever you want with it. Speed it up. And of course, this works at audio rates too. So if I just take this LFO into oscillator mode, you get right into some nice drony material here. And you can play with the frequency ratios between the oscillators, you can play with the filter resonance, you can get all kinds of vowel-y sounds, and of course still play with the bias. And control amount. I'm just going to keep it at full for now. But definitely some good drony material here. Now I know I'm showing this patch using a voltage controlled notch filter as the goal, but of course you could use this crossfader to crossfade anything. If you've got a DC coupled VCA, couple channels of it, blinds is DC coupled, but there are plenty others. You can do this with CV too. So you could crossfade between LFOs or different envelope shapes, whatever you really want to. So this kind of patch, rigging up a complex construction crossfader from simple components like a couple VCAs is a really nice way to spice up the way you're using your utility modules. Now that's about all I wanted to talk about today, but make sure to look out for more videos in the future just to see more modules, more patches, and in general different ways to spice up your patching. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.